It seems like most years the New Balance Rebel gets a pretty big change from the previous version, and V5 is no different. It may not be as radical as some previous versions, but it definitely has a big impact. So I've put over 50 kilometers on the shoe. I'm ready to give you my full review. Just a quick disclaimer that I am an ambassador for Running Warehouse and they sent me these shoes, but all my thoughts and opinions are my own. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive into the review. Starting with the upper. The Rebel V5 still uses a Phantom Fit engineered mesh upper, however I found it to be much more comfortable than the previous version. The tongue is now more padded and gusseted to be more comfortable and stay in place. The ankle collar is also more padded and comfortable as well. The fit has also been improved. I personally thought that V4 felt a tad short lengthwise, but very roomy overall. And I found that V5 felt much less baggy and had a better midfoot lockdown. I'd say it fits true to size, but that toe box shape is still kind of weird, where some people might need to go up half a size. But overall, I think that New Balance made some key updates to this upper that made it better fitting and more comfortable overall. All right, now let's talk about this midsole. So the midsole still uses the EVA PIBA blended Fuelcell foam. However, it now has a higher stack height, gaining an extra 4 millimeters. It's 38 millimeters in the heel and 32 in the forefoot, keeping that 6 millimeter heel to toe drop. Despite it getting more stack, I thought that it felt more stable and more responsive in the forefoot, making it very versatile for fast toe offs when you're picking up the pace, but also have that squish when you're taking it easy. I think some people will probably miss the lower stack feel of V4, but I personally am a fan of the added stack height. So overall, I think that the added stack height does make the shoe maybe a little less nimble, but I think that it does make it more comfortable and more versatile. All right, now let's talk about this outsole. So we can see some changes here as well, mainly in the forefoot, where we now have a lot more coverage. The extra rubber and higher stack do add about half an ounce, with the shoe now weighing 7.9 ounces in a men's size 9. However, I think it's worth it. The new forefoot outsole is probably what helps make the forefoot feel a little more responsive and stable, almost like a bottom-loaded plate in a way. For durability, I've found the exposed foam gets worn down pretty easily, but the rubber itself is holding up pretty well. All right, now it's time for the run type stoplight portion of the review, where I'll go over speed day, everyday, long run day, and recovery day. So starting with speed day, I give the Rebel V5 a yellow light. I personally think that this foam is just too soft and squishy for real speed. It's not my preference. I definitely would want something a little firmer, have a little more ground feel, a little more snap to it. That being said, I do think that the forefoot feels a little faster than the previous versions, and I don't mind taking it on faster long progression runs, but anything faster than like half marathon pace, it's just way too squishy all over the place for me personally. For everyday, I give this a green light. I think that this shoe has really kind of shifted more toward the daily training compared to any of the previous versions of the Rebel, and I'm honestly here for it. I think that that's kind of what I used the V4 mostly for anyways, was daily training, and I didn't like it necessarily for that purpose. I wish it had more cushion, more comfortable upper, better fitting, a little more stable forefoot, and this fixes all these issues, making it a nice, versatile, lightweight, up-tempo trainer in my opinion. For long runs, I give this a yellow. The added stack height is definitely very welcomed and more comfortable for these long runs. That upper is more comfortable for those longer runs as well. However, that foam is just a little too soft for me. When I'm tired at the end of a long run, my form starts breaking down. It really doesn't help me there, and it just feels pretty wobbly underfoot. For recovery days, I give this a green light. Despite it kind of being a lightweight, more up-tempo trainer, I thought that that really plush, squishy underfoot feel felt great when you're taking it slow, and just wanted something that was kind of bouncy and squishy underfoot. All right, now I'm going to do a few quick comparisons. The first shoe I'm going to compare it to is the SC Trainer V3. So neither of these shoes has a midsole that's 100% PIBA. They're both that blend of EVA with some PIBA thrown in there. They're both versatile trainers that can handle speed and also everyday training, but obviously the main difference between these two is the plate. The SC Trainer has a full-length carbon plate in there, while the Rebel V5 is unplated. The SC Trainer also has a higher stack and a more aggressive rocker. So I think you can actually have both these shoes in your lineup. For me, I would use the Rebel V5 as more of a daily trainer, kind of put your daily miles on there, maybe pick up the pace a little if you want to, do your easy runs in there, stuff like that. While I would keep the SE trainer for those speed days when you want something with a nice snap, a quick roll off the toe. This shoe definitely feels a lot firmer, more responsive, and faster in my opinion. Just with that rocker and that plate, really rolls you and pushes you off your toe. And this is something that I would definitely do long runs on, do speed work in, opposed to the Rebel, where, like I said, it's just kind of leaning more towards a daily trainer for me. Next up is the Novablast V5 from ASICS. Again, both very lightweight, versatile trainers. They both have kind of squish and bounce to them, but the Rebel V5 is definitely softer and squishier. I think that the Novablast has that perfect amount of kind of squish but bounce, not being too squirrely, while I think that the Rebel V5 is just a little too soft and squirrely for my preferences. The Novablast 5 has been one of my favorite daily trainers of this year. I think that the Rebel is honestly a good option as well. It just kind of depends on your preference. If you like something a little squishier, something maybe a tad more responsive, and honestly overall I like the fit still better of the Novablast. So a shoe that a lot of people wanted me to compare the Rebel to was the Evo SL from Adidas. So again, these are both kind of lightweight up-tempo trainers, but I think that the Evo SL definitely leans more to that up-tempo kind of speedier side, while the Rebel is kind of leaning more towards the daily trainer side. The foam is 100%. This is the Light Strike foam. There's no blend in there. This is just a pure super foam. However, it does feel firmer and honestly more stable than this Fuelcell foam, but that also gives it a more responsive feel. So when I'm picking up the pace, I don't feel like I'm kind of fighting the shoe. It feels much snappier to me than the Rebel V5. So this is one of those shoes that I would use for everyday training and then all my speed work as well. But it's not necessarily my favorite for kind of recovery days or long run days, while this one I think is better for those longer, easier efforts. So overall, I think that the Rebel V5 is a good update. I personally wasn't a big fan of V4. It didn't have enough cushion for me. The fit was kind of weird on the upper, not the most comfortable, and this just fixes all those issues I had with V4 and improves upon them. And I think it's a great shoe, but if you really liked kind of the more nimble feeling of V4, then you might not like the V5. So I could definitely see those Rebel V4 fans not being very happy with this update. But again, for me personally, I'm enjoying these changes. I do think that it might ruffle some feathers though, again, that it's kind of moving more towards a daily trainer in my opinion than kind of that sleek, lighter weight speed day shoe. I think this does add to the versatility of the shoe. Like you can still definitely pick up the pace in it. It has more cushion now and be more comfortable in long runs, all that stuff. But that midsole foam is just a little bit too soft for me personally. So I want to hear from you. Have you tried the Rebel V5? Do you like these new changes? Do you wish they'd go back to the V4? Are you using it more like a daily trainer? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep on running.